we just
Can I do some filming?
Absolutely.
Like behind the scenes?
Yeah.
Also,
Of course you can.
oh, awesome. This is great.
I'm just pumped you're here.
I can bring another one of these. We got two if you want to set up your phone as well.
Oh, no, it's all good. I just meant like, what's going on behind the scenes.
Sweet.
Look,
You
there's a
can,
microphone and hands.
And me.
Don't record my hands. Go for Nico's hands. Mine are little old lady ones.
Sweet. Oh, you're recording already. Sweet.
I feel ya.
We'll just do.
No, yours are nicer.
We'll just do a really quick microphone test. So could you get a little closer? Sorry, what's your name?
I'm Bridget.
Bridget. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Sweet. Just gonna move it that way. Make sure you're both on. Sweet. Now with the microphone. I think this should be okay. So we'll just do a double check and then get started. What's the topic for today?
Oh.
Bridget's journey.
Sweet.
Yeah, that's
Just
it
for the
in a
episode
nutshell.
title.
Yeah. So I've just got some questions.
Yeah.
None of them are, well, I don't think like overly invasive.
Mm-hmm.
But if any of them, you're not that keen to answer, then obviously just pass.
Right.
Yeah. And the good thing is it's not live, so we can edit anything out
true.
as well. So, and the other thing is, just go with it as well. So, like, if you want to open up a little bit further about a conversation, don't worry so much about, like, how long it's taking you to unpack or,
cool.
that sort of thing. Like, just speak from the heart and it's cool, And if we get through half the questions, I would still be really happy that we've actually had, like, a meaningful chat,
Yeah. Awesome. That's great advice. Thanks, Zoe. Do we put
Well,
these on?
yeah.
Fun.
Let's do it.
Do we wear these through the thing?
Yeah.
What's going on here?
Yeah. I feel like this
They feel back to front. Oh, right, because we flip them.
like this
In
and
on
click them in.
themselves.
It's like two of us having the same
How
problems.
many people does it take to understand headphones?
Okay.
Fun.
Am I good? Cool.
Oh, great.
Yeah. 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 It's just so you don't get distracted, But it kind of, I think that the headphones kind of make you feel like you're in the mode,
It does. It makes you feel like you're live.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah, it's weird. Well. Correct, yeah. Cool. Okay. Are you ready?
I am.
Do you want a high five?
Yeah.
Let's do this. You have little hands as well. I feel like we have so much in common. This is going to go real
You're my
well.
hand twin.
Yeah. Like never ever. But mine are a bit more wrinkly. You've got a few more veins.
Oh, no.
Popping.
Got to make sure you have this, sun lotion this, eh?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. Okay. Okay, so today we have on the show Bridget Williams. So I met Bridget at the end of last year at a UN Women's Day. And I had actually knew exactly who she was before that day, but I was super pumped. Everyone knows I'm an introvert and it takes a lot of courage for me to like make the first move and say hello, but instantly drawn to her and her whole personality, charisma, everything. And so I said hello and I felt like such a weirdo, but I'm glad that I did.
I'm glad you did too,
So
Zoe.
welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So just a little bit about Bridget, and please fill in the gaps. But Bridget is the founder of Bead and Proceed. She is also has Retro Gym Club.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's it.
Which I didn't know about, but it made me like you even more. You are into all sorts of things, arts. You're a performer as well, right? Bit of a gardener.
Yeah.
Just like quite an all-rounder in a lot of things, which I cannot wait to unpack with you. One of the things that really caught my attention about yourself was you on this pathway of being a lawyer and then deciding that that wasn't quite what you wanted to do forever and ever. So we'll talk about that. But firstly, I just got some warm-up questions just to like kind of break the ice.
Exciting.
So, coffee or tea?
Oh, coffee.
So what's your coffee order?
Well, my coffee order, okay, well, that's a tricky question. I only have one coffee, and it's not one that I would order. Like, if I'm to order something, it's a hot chocolate, because I've already had my filtered coffee in the morning. Yeah, but that is being quite a, so, okay, I got to explain it. So it is a very strong coffee, and my husband and I went to Japan, and we came across this beautiful, like, ceramic, sort of filtered, filter patented thing. I can't really explain it, but it's just a really fancy coffee filter, and it's made from like this natural stone, and it filters all the coffee, and it just tastes divine. So that is what I have in the morning. So anything that I order would be like a hot chocolate with coconut milk or something.
Yeah, right. You don't want to push the boat out with 2 coffees.
No way. I would just be gesturing the whole day.
Yeah, totally. And is it kind of like an espresso or like a long black that you end up with? Yeah,
it's basically like, oh my gosh, this is so much. I have never told anyone how much coffee I put in that morning coffee, but here goes. It is like 8 heaped teaspoons. Like, that's a lot, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's a lot.
That's quite a lot. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I've got a problem.
My name's Bridget, and I'm a coffeeholic.
I am a coffee addict.
Purist, also.
Purist. That's a good point. And I never wanted to be, because I was someone that was so reliant on coffee that I would take it in any form, instant. In the coffee tea bags that you get, or if it was just like an average coffee from a cafe, I wanted it to be whatever I could take. But now I've really relied on this beautiful coffee in the morning. So it's Supreme coffee, just coffee ground, and it basically turns out like a long black.
Supreme beans and grind are so good, eh? So yum. Yeah, we have a coffee machine at home that we have lugged around the country far too many times. It's like our 4th child and favourite. But I'm kind of the same. Like, I'll have a coffee at home in the morning, and I hate buying a coffee out. And my reason for it is because I can't risk paying for a coffee that I don't love. Totally. So I'm a little bit fussy. So sometimes, like, if I'm on the road for work or whatever, I'll just go cold turkey rather than like doing it.
Oh, see, I can't miss a coffee.
Yeah,
I can't miss a coffee, but now for me, it's become part of the ritual. It's the morning routine that I love.
I hear you. Yeah, get up in the morning, make the coffees. But I'm a tea person as well, so I have a whole ritual for like at nighttime as well.
What's your nighttime tea?
So have a teapot with like the filter inside it. We do hibiscus, sleep easy, which has got like dandelion and all these like things that make you really sleepy. Manuka honey and a squeeze of lemon.
A squeeze of lemon?
Yeah.
You sound like Nigella. I love it.
I'm like really going through the steps, and I can tell if like Muzz has done it and he's skipped a step. Like if he hasn't put in the honey or whatever, I'm like, I know what's going on here. Favorite season?
Ooh, that's a question. I feel like it depends on what mood I'm in. Right now, I'm feeling autumn. I'm really feeling it. I just feel like I operate sometimes as either extrovert or introvert, and at the moment, some of the stuff that I'm working on requires a lot of introvert energy, and for me, I associate that with autumn, you know, and also we're coming into autumn, and all the things like the autumnal experiences are like getting me very excited, like mushroom picking and sweater weather, you know, like all the scarves, the boots and everything. So I'm leaning into autumn at the moment.
Yeah, you kind of look and feel like someone that suits every single season. Like,
oh, stop it.
No, like really, like I think that I'm quite clearly a summer person.
I see that, yeah.
But, like, you know, chuck me in the winter, I just get super pale. I'm, like, not feeling myself at all. Like, hibernating. I like the snow, but I tried to snowboard and it wasn't happening for me. And the main reason for it is because when I was little, I was left-handed. And when I was 9, they turned me to right-handed. And so I'm not goofy, but I'm not. Like, I don't actually have a strong side. So, like, every time I go down the mountain, people will be like, oh, you did, like, really well that time. But you went, like, left foot forward or, like, right foot. And they're like, what are you up to? And I'm like, I don't know. Same with water skiing. Like, it just kind of happens. But I have no process. I'm not going through the steps. I'm just, like, doing it.
That's good. That's a good way to do life. Just do it.
Just, like, fumbling through. When's your birthday?
The 8th of the 8th.
So, what star sign are you?
Oh, well, I am. My star sign is. Well, no, my sun sign is Leo.
Yeah.
My rising sign is Cancer. And my moon sign is Sagittarius.
I love that you know all of this.
Oh,
I feel like we can get a bit woo-woo in this conversation.
100%.
Yes! Liberating. Okay, and can we talk about your outfit for a second as well?
Yeah. What do you want to know?
What's going on?
Okay. Well, I've got my bead and proceed necklace
Yeah.
on. That is it's essentially almost like a uniform now. Sometimes I have to consciously not wear it because it's so much of what I do with my mahi, and I'm wearing it so often now that I need to touch up the paint because it's rubbing off. This jumpsuit is from a gorgeous, I guess you'd call it online boutique, but it's not really. Oh my gosh, what is it called? I've forgotten the name.
Is it hand painted or is it printed?
I think it's printed, but I got it in Bali, and I cannot believe I've forgotten the name. But it's basically, you know, those Instagram accounts that you stalk and you just like fall deeply in love with like the lifestyle around it and everything, and the story of the founder and all of the material, and is so ethically and sustainably sourced, and it's all about investing in the local community and everything. And they have this amazing program with their jewelry as well, where they reuse, basically they collect anyone's gold that they don't want anymore, and then they reuse it into new pieces. Like, it's just such a cool story. Yeah. And for the life of me, I've forgotten the name of it, but that's where this is from. And then this top I got at an op shop find last week. The colour is so good, and the cut of it, like, right? Yeah, it's hard to find a good tee, but I noticed it straight away. I was like, where is that from? Yeah, so this was just an op shop number, and I was like, I have to get it. It fits the colour, as you said. Yeah, it's your colour. I love that you notice that. Always. I will always like notice and then shout out a good outfit. And I think that like that's essential. You know, I think that's what we should be doing. Oh yeah, I love commenting people on their outfits. Yeah. Just like randomly. It is just the nicest feeling when someone comments like just down the street, or you're waiting in line for something and someone's like, I love your outfit. It's just such a booster. Absolutely. And I feel like it's always a really pleasant surprise as well. It's like people are really surprised when you would take that time. Hey, like, and I'm like, really, like, no, but genuinely, I really rate it. And I think that like the more that you encourage people to wear stuff that is like a little bit outside of mainstream, it kind of gives them like the empowerment to do more of that as well. Hey, have you always dressed the way that you want? Did you ever try tone it down? I can't remember a day, or like I can't remember a moment in my life where I sort of thought, actually no, I can't say yes to that. Yes, it would have been when I was a lawyer. Yeah, I didn't have complete freedom to wear the things that I wanted to wear as a lawyer. But I also kind of enjoyed that challenge as well. Like I enjoyed seeing how far could I stretch, you know, wearing certain things that would not be like deemed like strictly corporate, but they still, you know, showed a bit of my personality. Yeah. You can make corporate cool. Totally. Without it having to be all great. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, perfect. What is one thing that people may not know about you? What don't people know? I mean, I'm such an open book. I think, gosh, maybe I want to give this some thought. Maybe that I am really, maybe I feel, okay, maybe this is kind of getting a little. We're stepping into the deeper
Let's
parts
go
now.
deep.
I would say sometimes what people really don't necessarily appreciate is that while I like to do all of these different things, it can feel very sporadic in my mind, and I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah, it's very relatable.
yeah, and so sometimes it can look like it's a collective, curated dance between all these different things that I do, and sometimes there's an actual rhythm to it, and that can feel really nice, like going from one thing to the next. But there are definitely moments where I feel like, why am I taking on so much? And like, where is this panic coming from?
Yeah.
Is it because life is not a dress rehearsal and I feel the need to do all the things? So I guess internally, like, that's what's going on.
Yeah, no, I hear you. And, so just for listeners, a little bit of context. So Bridget contacted me and she was explaining that she might be a little bit late today. She had a situation with her cat, and she was pretty much just like committing to hustling as fast as she could from one thing to another to get here on time. And I was like, girl, you're speaking my love language, because like it's just so relatable, right? Like, I had a day at work today. During my lunch break, I like have to go get the groceries and do the stuff and pick up your present, which I actually forgot, and then get here as soon as I could. I popped home just before I got here to drop off the groceries, hoping that maybe the kids might like start, doing some stuff towards dinner, but probably a little bit optimistic. But just the fact of having someone around like you, which does wear several different hats, and the honesty around the kind of chaos that can bring, but also because you're so multifaceted, because you have so many skills and like passion as well for different things, I love that you kind of push forward anyway, because those things, although they can be really exhausting and you don't really have 15 minutes to yourself any day, they fill your cup too.
For sure. And I feel like for me, and I get the feeling that you're much like this too, Zoe, and I don't mean to put words in your mouth, but I feel like for people like us, we love doing multiple things because it actually fuels us creatively. It allows us, we actually feel like we have more energy because we can jump from one thing to the next, because what we just did gave us heaps of energy in that whole activity, and then we can transfer that energy onto the next. And so for some people, looking on the outside, it could be, oh my gosh, like Bridget is going to get burnt out. And look, maybe I will one day, but for now I enjoy the mental and physical flip-flop from one thing to the next. It doesn't drain me. I mean, who knows what the future will hold, and I'm always really conscious about making sure that I provide space in between life's moments. And I think again, coming back to this theme around loving all things Japanese, there's this beautiful concept that I fell in love with, and I know I could be practicing more of it, and it's a concept called yohaku. And yohaku is around consciously putting in space into life, and not just life, but also like so when you think of Japanese artwork, it's not just about where is the placement of the brush and the pattern and everything, but it's actually about where will you put space on the canvas. And so yohaku is this beautiful philosophy around even the placement of putting together a garden. It's about making sure the rocks and the sculptures are all separate enough so moss and growth can expand on it. And so I think sometimes I do take a moment to look at my calendar or my day, and I think, am I practicing yohaku right now? Like, could I be putting a bit more space into things so I'm not jumping all the time, because that space is important to allow things to come up that are unexpected.
Yeah, I have not at all got that into my life at all. Like, I mean, I meditate, and I feel like that's my thing, and I actually spend quite a lot of time meditating. Which has been a real journey for me, and I think I've been doing it for like 18 months now, and to be fair, I don't know if I could cope with my life anymore without doing it, just because it's like one little moment where I can relax. Like, I'm a sleep talker, like I am on when I am sleeping, and so I think that that's just been like a nice thing for me. But what do your kind of self-care rituals or what does making space look like for you?
So every morning I journal. So I've been I was journaling before it was cool.
Yeah.
But
Old school diary girls, eh?
100%,
Yeah.
100%. And I think I look back, and my granddad on my mum's side, so my mum's dad was a huge journaler, but he was more like, you know, to the facts, you know, like it's a northeasterly. And, you know, the crops are growing well. Whereas mine is definitely just basically word vomit of emotion. And and I start there. There's the coffee ritual, which we explained. It's also making sure exercise is so important for me, because I think, again, for people like us who have a lot of energy, I feel like putting it into something physical helps to helps to get that energy out of my system, so it's not this negative energy that can get me thinking about I don't know, other things. Whereas so exercise is important. So I try and fit in a run at least like 3 or 4 times a week, and then there's the aerobics retro gym club.
Let's talk about that.
Because
that was like a little hidden gem that I had no idea about, and the outfits, the everything. Let's talk about it. How did that come about?
Okay, well, the journey started back in high school when me and my twin sister, Hannah, we actually did aerobics competitively. So at Girls High, Christchurch Girls High School, we had a fantastic aerobics squad. So we had a really great teacher who basically, you know, taught us what we needed to know, and it wasn't like a squad, as in we weren't all coming together doing the same routine, but there was a bunch of us, and you could do it in pairs or in a trio or individuals. And of course, Hannah and I, being twins, had a biological natural advantage, because the whole point about aerobics is about hitting the beats at the same time and looking as synchronized as possible. So Hannah and I, we loved it for the artisticness, because you would sort of get points on whether your song and the moves that you did linked to the lyrics, and even down to like whether your leotard had like a theme to it. So we just really it was the sport that we did throughout high school, and we got second, and then we won nationals, and then we got second again. So I would like to say, you know, we had the national title for a year. But we loved it. And aerobics, it's, you know, it's cardio, it's flexibility, it's such a good all body workout. So we had finished aerobics, and then Hannah and I went our separate ways after high school. She went to Ara to be a nurse, and then I studied law at UC, and we just found ourselves feeling like we were drifting. You know, we always had something that pulled us together. And I should also say that aerobics gave us a lot of cool opportunities. So it was actually through aerobics that Hannah and I, we had a wee stint on the television show called What Now, where we were the Tully twins on the show, and we got that through. Oh
my goodness! Okay, I was a big What Now fan, and this is crazy because I've always felt like I knew you.
Do you reckon this is it?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh my gosh!
Like I would be calling that 0800 number every single time, and I never got through. And I wanted to be gunned so bad, you know.
Yeah, no.
Oh my goodness, that's you guys.
Yeah. So it was awesome, because every week Hannah and I would come together again, which was really special, because we just felt like our lives had just been so separated. And so, but then when we stopped being on the show, and again that separation happened, and we just thought, look, what are we missing in our lives where we could find something that we could come back together again, something that lifts us up, that brings us heaps of joy. And then, I don't know if you remember the TV show Glow, but Glow stands for Glorious Ladies of Wrestling, and it was on Netflix, and I think it only had about 3 seasons. But I remember just watching the episode, because it's set in the 80s. So it was based on a real life TV show, but then Netflix created a show about what happened.
Yeah.
And these women were in these like, wrestling woman outfits, and they were having to do choreographed moves for wrestling. And it was a real sort of, story of underdog journey, right? And it's a great show. I highly recommend it. And I just remember watching it, and I thought, oh my gosh, I miss wearing my leotard and like that performance that we used to have together. And I just thought, man, the 80s, what a time. And I realized I miss doing aerobics, and that would be so much fun to do that with Hannah. And what if we themed it 80s, and then the rest is history. So
how long have you guys been doing that for?
we've been doing it for quite a while. We started Retro Gym Club, I want to say it was pre-COVID in 2019, and then and then COVID happened, and so we did a few online, sort of wanted to lean into that VHS Jane Fonda aesthetic of just doing it live on Instagram, and then we do it every Thursdays at 7:15. Hannah at the moment is in Tasmania, so we welcomed a new instructor called Anna, who's just fantastic, and Anna is incredible. So she came along as someone who just wanted to, be a part of the Retro Gym Club community, and we just saw she had so much talent, and we thought this would be so cool to sort of grow this into building a bit of a team of instructors. So 7:15 at the Arts Centre, Retro Gym Club.
This is iconic, eh? Like, that is something that your kids and your grandkids will be talking about.
Well, I think it's interesting you say that, because for Hannah and I, we also wanted a space where we, coming back to this theme, life's not a dress rehearsal. And I know that there will come a moment where I'll be like, man, my body has changed. I don't look like how I used to look like. And I want to be doing this all my life, we welcome everyone at Retro Gym Club, but there is something to be said around making the most of what you have and while you can. And I just thought there's going to be a moment where I might not want to wear a leotard one day, and I want to look back and see these reels and these photos and this community that we've built and just think, man, I made the most of that time.
Yeah, so cute. I love that you guys are doing that journey together. Do you feel like when you take those classes, do you have like a different persona? Like, are you on, or is it just like Bridget in her true form, not really caring what people think because you're giving it your all and you're turning up?
I think, I would say there's definitely like authentic Bridget's there, but I would say it's like leveled up Bridget.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I use that same energy like when I do a beat and proceed facilitation, or when Hannah and I had to turn it on for What Now. And I think live television, I mean, we definitely knew at the time that we were learning a skill that would be so transferable, which is just the ability to just block out what people think and to just deliver at a certain level that people can be like, whoa, that's a lot of energy, but actually, it's I feel like when you're in that zone, there's no judgment. It just feels fun. And I think as well, Retro Gym Club for us is also a space, for me in particular, because of the work that I do with Beat and Proceed and talking about and creating engagement around the sustainable development goals can be so heavy and full of a lot of climate anxiety and grief. Having a space where we just have fun, we just get a sweat on. It's uplifting, it's positive, the music is it's just iconic. You're working out, there's so many different levels of endorphins going on that you come away just feeling like you're completely recharged.
Love it. Okay, so we've kind of talked a little bit, but I want to know about how it all started. So tell me a little bit about your early years. Like, you're from here in Christchurch.
Yes, I'm like a 6th generation Cantabrian. So the background, I guess, with my whānau is I have an amazing mum and dad. They gave myself and my 2 sisters. So I've got a twin sister and an older sister who lives in Sweden.
What's her name?
Her name's called Rachel.
Yeah. Cute.
Hi,
and
Rachel.
how many years older than you is Rachel?
She is like 3.5. And so she was a fantastic role model growing up. I think Hannah and I, we were really inspired by her. She was an awesome big sister. And I think as well, being a twin, you're naturally benchmarked to someone as well. But it was a healthy competition though. We got along so well, but it just meant that any time we were doing something, whether it was dancing related or academic related, it was always okay, well,
I can imagine.
And I think
I can't imagine, but I can.
Yes, you appreciate it. So mum and dad gave us a lot of beautiful access to nature and an appreciation for Papa Tuanuku, and I think back on it as well, and I feel like there was definitely a connection there on mum's side. So my granddad, he was essentially a professional gardener. He worked on a farm, and he was also quite like sustainably minded, but almost because he had to be. So he was mum is one of 10, so yeah, and they didn't have a lot in terms of finances, and he actually got in the paper for making a greenhouse out of recycled plastic bottles.
Right, yeah,
and it was
way ahead of his
way
time.
ahead of his time.
Yeah,
but it's because he had to.
Yeah,
'Cause he's
resourceful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that has always sort of been that creative spirit and that sustainable spirit has sort of fed through us.
Yeah.
And so the early years were tramping and skiing and just connecting as a family. And I would also say that was when I was younger. I was always described as quite a creative person.
Yeah.
I was, I would doodle these bees. I had this like specific doodle that I would just like draw over and over again, which is so ironic because anyone who knows me knows I'm terrified of bees.
Yeah.
Love what they do for the planet.
But that was your signature.
That was my signature.
Yeah, I used to do a frangipani.
We've all got one. And so I was always quite a creative kid. And then somewhere along the way, being described as a creative child started to sound like a backhanded compliment.
Mm-hmm.
Because so you've probably even noticed it now, there's a few words that I stumble on. So I had a really bad speech impediment when I was younger. Like I couldn't say my sister's name, my own name. I had to go to speech and language therapy, and there are still times where I have to like over enunciate a word, and had a really low reading age, even lower spelling age, and stopped maths like as soon as I could.
Mm-hmm.
So, but of course none of those things gear you up or make you feel empowered enough to be described as someone who would consider themselves as an intellect. So here I am as this creative kid and don't really know what to do with the skill, and it's not as if school gave me a way or a path to know how I could make use of this. So I also wanted to prove to myself that I could do challenging things.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I was deciding what I want to be when I was older, law it seemed like it was a way to sort of bring in some of those skills.
I know exactly what you're talking about,
Yeah.
girl. This is so relatable. I just want to pause you for a little second because I just want to acknowledge a few things. So I'm one of 3 girls, so high five to that because we know girl power, right?
We do.
And we also know terrible tension with our sisters also.
Yeah.
We know how to sister scrap. Secondly, you talked about this speech impediment, and I just want to acknowledge that because it was probably only 5 minutes ago I was thinking to myself, my goodness, she is so well spoken. And so you saying that and almost like prompting it, I'm like, no, that's not what I was thinking at all. So full props to you, girl, because obviously that was a real thing for you. But I also just want to say, from my perspective, you're on the other side. You're really on the other side.
That's nice to hear, and I can tell sometimes. It wasn't anything. I don't think it made me feel. I don't think it necessarily brought me down, but I was always. Yeah, it's only now have I gotten older and I do so much speaking and facilitating and just the art of storytelling, and it's made me reflect on my own journey around how that has been a challenge. But growing up I never saw it as a hindrance. I still have cousins that like take the piss out of me at Christmas time, and they're like, "Hi, Bridget."
Yeah, that's like a cousin's license away. Like, yeah. Okay, cool. So, and then you decided to go down the law path. Like, I think that in schools it's kind of like, almost get, like, if you're a smart person and you want to show that you're smart, you go do something like law, right? Like, it's almost like a little bit of a challenge, almost like a little bit of a middle finger to anyone that maybe did make backhanded comments along the way, and you're like, no, I can do this.
Yeah, and I think as well, it definitely came from a place of ego and a place of insecurity too.
Mm-hmm.
I never felt like I was pushed to do it by my parents, but I did feel as though that, okay, well, here I am. I've done art history and English and drama, and then it's like, where is that going to get me?
Mm-hmm.
And so law felt like it was kind of it was bringing together some of those skills, but it was also, I knew it was also going to be a challenge, and it would be a bit of a middle finger to people that had made me feel like I couldn't handle it. So I had to study really hard, but I was lucky that at high school I sort of learned how to study. I know that sounds weird, but like studying is a bit of a skill.
Absolutely. I did not learn to study at school.
no one really tells you how to study, and and it can look different for many people, but I remember like I had this epiphany where I was studying for a chemistry exam, and I was like, oh my gosh, studying is when you sit down and you like read the topic to the point where you can memorize it, and then you can have a conversation with someone about it. So those skills were helpful, and I used them through uni, and it got me to a point where I had good enough grades that I got a summer clerk position, and then that turned into a grad role, which turned into a full-time position at a law firm. And I should say as well, at UC, I was also doing other things that really filled my cup. So really involved in the Student Volunteer Army. Yeah. So obviously 2 days in after university, first year of uni, and the earthquake happened. And I was just super inspired by what the Student Volunteer Army was all about, and it's kaupapa, so I wanted to be a part of that. And then my boyfriend, now husband, at the time, we also really got really involved in it together. So service leadership and active citizenship was something that really shaped my university time as well.
Yeah, cute. Do you want to talk a little bit about your husband? Because I asked you that question. And it's the sweetest story. And you don't have to go into super detail, but just that like summary in terms of like how you met him. Yeah. It's so sweet.
Oh, that's nice to hear, Zoe. So Luke, hi Luke, you're amazing. So Luke and I, we both met at leadership camp. Yeah. So we both got scholarships to the Emerging Leaders Development Program. And that was just, Luke walked in the room, and it was like love at first sight. Saw him across the room and just thought, I have to know who he is. Found out he was a skier. Skiing is like my other passion, and just knew that I had to marry him. And I like went home after basically kind of stalking him the whole time at the camp. I said to my mum, I've met the man I'm going to marry, and I like wrote it in my diary and everything. And then when we got married last year, I like pulled out my diary and I like read it, but I sounded like an absolute psychopath. I was like, in my head, I thought this would be really cute and endearing, and then like everyone at the wedding was like laughing nervously, and I'm thinking this was a huge mistake.
Absolutely, I know what you mean. Like,
oh my gosh, I am unhinged. But no, Luke's been incredible, and so we've been lucky enough that our passions and interests align really well, sometimes too aligned. Yeah. So we made the mistake where when the Student Volunteer Army was going through sort of this rebrand phase, and it was introducing a new committee. This was after Sam Johnson had been leading it for a few years, and they were looking for a new president and a whole range of different committee members. Luke and I both went for the role of president.
Oh, this is relatable for Muzz and I as well. Yeah.
And I don't recommend that.
Yeah.
It won't end well. And I remember just again, like, when it came to the interview process, I was like, Luke's fantastic. I'm going to have to really level it up. And so I got the role of president, and it did create a bit of friction in our relationship because Luke had always been considered a real leader. He was head boy of his school, and suddenly his girlfriend's taken on that role, and it taught us a few lessons. One is it's good to have interests, but they can't be too similar. You've got to have that separation. But Luke was incredible because while he wasn't president, he was really involved in reshaping the image of the Student Volunteer Army. He was like the marketing lead. And so the logo that you know today is thanks to Luke. Yeah. So we wanted to rebrand SVA to be a club that was recognize students for being more than just silt shovelers. So we wanted to rebrand it and highlight all the different skills that students have to offer for the community. So the logo was really simplified. If you know of it, it's an S with an X in it, and that X obviously is a X for the Roman numeral 10, because the Student Volunteer Army was founded in 2010. It has the V and the A, and then we took away the shovels because we wanted it to be more focused on different strengths that students have, and then we had the stars instead of the circles because it just kind of leaned into a more army feel. But yeah, so Luke was incredible with what he did with the Student Volunteer Army, and then through the Student Volunteer Army, I was then shoulder tapped to ask if I would run for the local elections, and that was around the time it would have been like 2013, because of course.
So you would have been in 20, yeah, how old would you have been then?
Oh, I think I was 19 or 20.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's so young.
I know. I was really young, and probably that naivety was helpful because I didn't really understand what campaigning involved and what the local elections were. So it was really thrown in the deep end, but I thought it was super important that if we're going to be making decisions about the city, we should be having, youth representation around the table. Yeah. So so the Student Volunteer Army and that whole journey also kind of helped me understand again that importance. And this is a quote I love, one of my favorite quotes, and actually it's from Dr. Lane Perry, who was really involved in the Emerging Leaders program that Luke and I were a part of. The quote is, to be a part of something that is bigger than you but better because of you. So that really made me feel, okay, SVA gave me a taste of that. So then what does that look like going forward? And that's why when I kind of came into law, I was sort of asking myself, is this the best way for me to action this? And is this the best way for me to align my strengths too? Because obviously the law is not super creative in terms of the creativity that I love. And then there I was as a lawyer, working in the litigation team, and I really did it for all the wrong reasons. And I remember coming home from law after a bad day, coming home from court after representing someone, and I just felt so defeated, and I just didn't feel like I had done a good job, and I just was like, I can't believe I'm going to have to do this again tomorrow and for the rest of my life. And I just remember thinking, how can I put my frustration into something positive? And so I made a necklace and reconnected with my creative spirit again, I guess you'd say. And that is the end of chapter 1 of Bed and Proceed.
Yeah, right. So, but we missed a little bit. How did the campaign go?
Oh, the campaign went really well. So I got in, and I got in, but it, the first 3 years I was just trying to understand how council and community board works, and now I'm in my 4th term. So each term is 3 years. So it's been a real honour for this term. I was elected as chair of the Waimiro Whendoto Maumari Hewa Community Board. And it's a real honour to be chair because you represent the board, but you're representing all of the community residents as well around local issues. And sometimes it can feel it's hard because there are some things that I value, but again, like the residents might not, but you're a voice for the residents. It's not. It's a role where you're not voicing your concerns, you're voicing the residents' concerns. So sometimes that can feel a bit conflicting, but it's definitely given me a lot of skills and a sense of appreciation for taking an active role in your community.
It just feels quite surreal that you are the age that you are and you're in your 4th term. Do you know? Like, look at the life experience that you're going to have by age 50. Like, what the heck? But I love it. I love it. That is incredible. Okay, and then chapter 2.
Yes.
Bed and Proceed.
Yes. So there I just made this necklace. And I thought, okay, this was incredibly powerful. Wow, we don't make time for creativity anymore. And then I thought, maybe there's something to this. Like maybe we could run workshops where we, inspire people to reconnect with that creative spirit.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, that's all well and good, but like, what does the necklace mean? And then I was flipping through a magazine called the Peppermint Magazine. It's this awesome sustainability magazine based in Australia. And I came across this framework called the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. And it was all these beautiful colours, and each colour...
Sorry. Oh my goodness.
Right
at the best part. I'm so sorry. Can I just grab some water? I'm so sorry.
Don't apologise, Zoe.
The worst. I'm like, yep.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh yeah, sure.
closer.
I'm sorry, Bridget.
No, don't apologise.
I'm not trying to steal your thunder.
You need to. You need to hydrate.
I think I literally just choked on my own spit as well.
I've done that before. Yeah, or like when a crumb.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the worst.
Should we start at chapter 2, Beat and Proceed? Yeah.
Oh, I was like, wow, that's really clear.
This has never happened before. No. Yeah, like, imagine having a cold. That would really suck.
Imagine
You
that.
just couldn't do it, eh?
Yeah, or you'd have to like acknowledge it or something.
Yeah, but no one would want to hear you like sniffing.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Just gonna blow my nose. What do you do? What do you do? Do you just literally just cough and be like, sorry about that? Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I'm passing away.
So,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Show must go on, eh? Oh, you reckon? Oh, that
Yes.
would be funny.
Especially my laugh, eh? Because it kind of sounds like I'm like in between.
Oh my god. Oh, that's so funny. Okay.
Oh yeah, peppermint.
Yeah. Okay. Oh yeah. Yeah. Easy. Cool. And so this magazine had this amazing framework that I hadn't seen before called the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. And there they were in all of these different bright colours, and each colour connected to a different goal.
Yeah.
So like dark green was climate action, pink was reduced inequalities, light blue was clean water and sanitation, reddy orange was gender equality. And I thought, why don't we know about this? Why is this the first time I'm finding out about this framework? And this was back in 2016. In 2015, the framework had been adopted near the end of 2015. And then it sort of just hit me. What if these 5 beads you paint represent the top 5 goals that you want to personally action? And so suddenly this necklace, these beads, whether it was made into a keyring or a necklace, it wasn't just a statement. It was actually what does that mean? Oh, that's a good. Oh yeah, of course.
Come in close. No, I get that feedback daily. I started a new job and they're like, your office isn't soundproof at all. And I work in HR. I'm like, yeah, it's a nightmare. I cannot talk quietly.
Yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Perfect. Yeah, can I start it again? I'm like, what am I even saying? It wasn't even
I think
statement. Yeah, that's a good place to. Yeah, yeah. I reckon what you want to action. Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Cool. And so coming together to paint these beads wasn't just an opportunity to understand this framework, but it was also a way to connect creatively, so you could be brainstorming and coming up with creative solutions and actions to, actioning the goals that you care about. And then beat and proceed, where that name sort of came from, is it was sort of a play on from the term stitch and bitch. So I'm not sure if you're familiar. Yeah. So I was like, well, look, the world is already so full of negative things. We don't need to be bitching any more than we already do. But we could be proceeding. We could be proceeding to being better versions of ourselves. We could be proceeding to helping the environment more, and then hence the name beat and proceed. So came up with this concept, and then things just started to snowball. So had a friend who was working closely with Trade Aid, and they asked me, who are making your kits? Because I thought it was really important that the activity be something that people do together. So I wanted the kit to be something that it wasn't just a standalone individual activity. It was something you do with friends or with a group of 7 people. And Trade Aid had a partner called Silence, who were located in Calcutta, India. And Silence is this beautiful organisation, World Fair Trade certified. They provide quality and safe and decent employment to adults who have hearing, speaking or physical disabilities, often a group of people that can be really marginalised in the workforce. So a big part of what Silence does is it's making sure that their work is actually being paid, and valued for the amazing skill that they have. And they also provide financial wraparound services for their families too. So Silence and the incredible artisans from that organisation, they make the kits out of recycled paper, and then they have these wood carvers who are just incredible artisans, and they hand make the beads from recycled wooden pellets. And then we have a paint partner called the Natural Paint Company. Grace and James are incredible. It's a sustainable paint company, free of nasties, and for every square metre of paint painted, they save a square metre of Amazon rainforest. So we wanted to make sure that, Beat and Proceed would walk the SDG talk. And what I mean by SDG is the acronym for Sustainable Development Goals. So I'll use that acronym going forward, SDG.
Yeah, we got it.
So I'd come up with these kits, and then the United Nations found out about it, the association branch in Christchurch in Otatahi, and they said to my friend, who just happened to be at a networking meeting with them, and they said, look, your friend should pitch to us for funding. So my friend Anita said, you should do it, let's pitch. So got some funding from them, which was, I guess, the belief that I needed in myself, that this was not a crazy idea. It had actual legs to it. So and then was still doing the law stuff though. And I realized maybe there's something to this if actually we could deliver this experience from a workshop level. And this is where Luke is such a champion for the things that I do and the crazy ideas that I have. He's like, what if you could go into a business and educate them through a facilitated workshop, and maybe that could be Beat and Proceed epic. And I was like, nice. So then had this sort of workshop offering as well, and now that has become sort of the main bread and butter of what I do. So I'll go into a business or an organisation, upskill them, their whole team on the Sustainable Development Goals, do a presentation at the start, sharing all of the information I know about the framework, deep diving into the history of sustainable development, the 169 targets, and basically just give them a really thorough context on the framework and why it's important, and how sustainability, it's not just about the environment, it's a whole connection of things around the social, environmental and economic, and how even though these goals can feel so big, it's about helping people work out what is their unique impact patch? Where do they want to make their impact, and what are the 5 goals that they could focus on to help with
that and that they find relatable.
Yeah.
And how did you decide to go from being a lawyer to actually doing this full time? Like, what did that transition look like?
It was full of self-doubt and a lot of tears. So I think, and again, like, it's, you know, getting quite raw and like personal, I was really, really unhappy as a lawyer. I remember just feeling incredibly sad on Sundays, having to iron my court attire, you know, my blazer and my black pants and my white shirt, and I was just riddled with so much anxiety, and I didn't realize at the time like how unhappy I really was, because you just operate in survival mode.
You got a good job, everyone seems to be happy with it.
Why, like, what have you got to be sad about, like, you know? And so it's easy to suppress those feelings, because you sort of think to yourself, you know, shut up, Bridget, like, there's so much privilege here, you just need to like get over it and push through. And I remember one day talking to a colleague, and I said, does this feeling ever go away, like this extreme anxiety and just like sadness about like, because I was in litigation, so it's all about conflict, and I said, you know, do you ever get over this? And I remember my friend and colleague said, well, I actually loved that part. Like, I see it like a boxing match, you know? Like, that's all, that's what I thrive on. And I'm thinking, I do not thrive in this environment.
Or, like, you can do the job, and it's not that you don't have the skills or whatever it takes, right? But it's like when it's a drain. When you can do it, but it doesn't feel good.
Oh, it didn't feel good. And I felt like such a fraud. Like, I really didn't think I had what I needed to be a good lawyer, from, you know, whether it was from you know, actually just understanding the mechanics of law, or whether it was just being able to put my emotions to one side and just sort of power on through. Because, and I even remember asking a judge one day, there was like a networking catch up where like young solicitors and judges could like mingle and talk, and I said, look, I feel as though that sometimes I can get so emotionally charged with some of these cases, and I feel so connected for the client, and I want to do what I can, but like, do you ever get over that? And I remember he said, oh, emotion's a superpower. And I'm thinking, yeah, it is, but I'm just sad all the time. And it even got to the point, and this might be triggering for some people, but it even got to the point where like I would be biking to work, and I had this thought in my head quite often, not all the time, but like, you know, definitely thought about it more than once. And I was thinking, you know, if I biked close enough to a car, and if a car door opened and I like rammed into it, I could go to hospital rather than work today. And I just remember thinking like, that's normal. Like, people have bad days at work. And then I remember talking to my partner at the time, and he's like, no, that you shouldn't be feeling like this.
No, and like, look at you as well as a human being. You were supposed to be sparkly. You are definitely like an Alvin, and you pass like all of your energy onto everyone that you pretty much cross paths with. I totally agree that for someone like you to be experiencing those thoughts, obviously you don't want anyone to do it, but that's so against the nature of who you are as a person, right?
Yeah, I think that's it. Like, you've hit the nail on the head, Zoe, which is like, life, like, it took me a while to actually realize that life isn't always sunshine and rainbows, but it should you shouldn't be operating at a level of sadness like that consistently. So that's when I realized something had to change. And I remember just being really sad one day, and Luke called up my mum, and they both sat me down on the couch, and they were like, look, we know you're unhappy, you know, what can we do? And then Luke just said, you've been working on being and proceed for a while, you know, sort of as you've been doing law and stuff. And he said, where could you go? Where could you take it if you gave it 100%? And I hadn't realized that was the permission I had been waiting to hear.
Yeah.
And I think everyone, when you're starting a journey, and it can feel quite lonely starting a social enterprise, or if you're writing a book, whatever the journey is that you're on. Sometimes you're just waiting for that permission from someone to say, pursue it, go for it full time.
You can do it.
You can do it.
I believe in you.
And I also want to acknowledge that there's real privilege in being able to make that decision. Like there's, I had Luke, I had my parents, like they were really supportive. So I know that not everyone is in that position where they can stop their job and pursue what they're doing. But I would also say that sometimes it requires, I like to use the analogy, or actually a big part of coming back to like creativity. I love writing poems to help sort of explain complex ideas. And I remember one that came to mind was there's this concept of like, there's the door, right? And you want to open the door, but you've got like wood, you're like holding on to a stack of wood in your arms, and you sometimes have to drop the wood, and it can feel scary because your wood is what keeps your fire going.
Yeah.
But it's like, but you don't realize that like what lies behind that door, you might not even need a fire. It's like a room full of sunlight, and you don't even need a fire anymore. So I think sometimes taking that leap, I don't know whether, I'd like to say I'm a spiritual person, but I also believe that's important, to work hard as well. But I do feel like the universe wants to reward you when you make massive leaps and back yourself in that way.
Absolutely. And I do feel like things do work out for you when your intent and your heart's in the right place.
Yeah.
If you are chasing something to get rich or die trying, I think that often you're trying, right? But I feel like sometimes if your heart's in the right place and you are doing something where you can fill your own cup, but really like you're trying to pass on knowledge and information and share ideas and actually give back in a different way, things will work out for you, right? Because people can see that, they can feel that. Like,
oh yeah, for sure. And I've had, like, through this whole journey, I've had some amazing pearls of wisdom from mentors and friends. And I remember one friend said in particular, my friend James, he's like, Bridget, people don't back businesses, they back people.
Yeah.
And I think that's a huge thing for anyone like starting a business. People might like your idea, but they actually like you more, and they want to see you thrive. And I've through this journey of Beat and Proceed,
wow.
Oh right.
I cannot believe we're there.
Through this journey of Beat and Proceed, I like to say that there are 3 C's that you'll come across. So like you'll meet a cheerleader. So they are people in your corner that like are just super stoked for you and like what you're doing and are rooting for you. But you'll also meet challengers, and those are people that will like challenge and question your idea. They might have the best intentions, but most of the time they kind of need to see to believe before they can really invest or support you. And they're important because they help refine your idea. But then you'll also have champions, and they are people who will open doors for you.
Yeah.
And they're so important. So you've got to make sure, have you got those 3 C's around you? So you have the people you need in your own constellation to keep what you want to do thriving.
Incredible. We've just had the signal from Nico that we need to wrap up, and I just want to state that I think I've asked you like 4 questions off my sheet, and they're all warm-up ones, and so I definitely think we need a second one. But you've actually got in a lot of the stuff around like quotes and like key people that have been there for you and that sort of thing. This has been incredible, and that hour has absolutely flown by, so thank you so much for being on here. That was probably the quickest hour of my life, despite the choking session in between. So thank you very much for joining me. It's been an absolute pleasure, and if you're up for it, I would love to do a part 2.
Oh, absolutely. Of course. Thank you so much, Zoe. We didn't even really I didn't get the opportunity to hear about some of the awesome stuff that you're doing. But no, we'll definitely have to have more of another corridor around that for sure.
Yeah, and thank you for being an inspiration for so many as well. Thank you for listening, and this episode will be available on Apple, Spotify, and Plains FM. Thank you. Yeah, perfect. Oh my goodness, an hour? Oh my god! And honestly, like we did not go into
What
it.
were the questions?
What did you want to be when you were 5 years old?
Oh man.
How did you go from there to where you are now? Any golden moments that changed it as a defining point? Any major unforeseen obstacles? How'd you overcome this challenge?
Oh wow.
Key people, naysayers. What would you give, or what would you say to the younger you? Yeah. But that's
So-
amazing, right? When you don't need a script, that's such a good result.
That's so man. I'm like, what did we talk about?
Yeah, I know, but it was amazing. Nico, do I need to do like a better wrap up? I was a little bit stumbled. Or do you think it's okay? Okay, perfect. Yeah, it's like shit. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, perfect. Okay. Yeah. Amazing. Thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Cool. So, we're good? Yes, please. Yeah, perfect. Oh my goodness, an hour?
An hour. That's nuts. Maybe by